Hello and welcome to Something Stealthy on the Edge. Thanks so much for joining me. So we're going to be looking at this little black stealthy number you see in front of us. Another Wee Knives knife. Let's flick him over so it's open so that you can have a good look at him. So this is the Wee Fornix. And it is a limited edition knife, limited to 410 pieces, which means it came in the limited edition style box from Wee that we've been seeing of late. And if you open that up, you got the little certificate in there that gives you the serial number and how many knives were actually made. Right, let's get that out the way. In terms of material on this knife, once again, we're seeing CPM 20 CV. So this is the third knife from Wee that I'm reviewing that has this blade. So it certainly does seem that Wee has transitioned to a new blade steel. The handle is titanium, and in fact all the hardware on this knife is titanium. So we've got torque screws, the pivot caps are titanium, the barrel spacers are titanium. I forgot the name of them for a second, and they say that this clip is titanium as well. It isn't a milled clip, it's a bent clip, so I'll go with what they say. I haven't checked that with a magnet, but if they say it's titanium, we'll go with that. Right, so that's in terms of materials. Oh, what I didn't mention is the pivot. So the pivot is a cage ceramic ball bearing. Dimensions of this guy, the blade length, so once again from the point of the handle closest to the tip, is 88.3 millimeters or 8.48 inches. The thickness is 3.2 millimeters or 0.13 inches. Handle thickness 11.2 millimeters or 0.44 inches. And then closed length or handle length is 122 millimeters or 4.8 inches. Overall length, so quite a long, slender knife. Overall length is 210.3 millimeters or 8.28 inches. Weight of the knife, actually quite a heavy knife, not as light as it looks. So let's get the scale on here and have a quick look at that. Confirm my suspicions or not. Get that on. Right, we're on grams. So we've got 105.4 grams. And let's have a look at that. In ounces, 3.7 ounces. So not too bad, but again, not the lightest knife. Right, let's have a look at this design. So we've got a blade that I guess the best description would be spear point, closest to a spear point than anything else. So it does have that little extra shape on the front that has a little bit of that harpoon type of thing going. Flat grind, quite a deep grind. We do have a nicely sized finger choil in the front and this big cutout, and we'll speak a little bit about that when we look at the deployment of the knife. And then the ricasso, where the ricasso transitions into the blade, quite interesting there. It's sort of a little angled type, so it don't have a curve there. It's just a slightly angled, there we go, yeah, let the light catch it. But it looks quite nice, quite interesting looking that. Back of the blade, a little bit chamfered around the edge, and then on that little harpoonish shape there, we've got the smallest little swedge and a very stabby point on this blade. Right, in terms of size, again, it's quite a long knife. So my medium-sized hand comfortably get 4 fingers on there. I may be straying a little bit towards that little curve there. So bigger hands, you are probably going to get close to the end of that handle. You might slip off the back a little bit. The handle has got a little of these beveled edges and very rounded on the edge of the handle as well. So no sharp corners, no hot spots on that handle. Very comfortable to hold and very comfortable to choke up. And as Cooper comes wandering into the door to see what I'm doing, you can hear his footsteps in the back there, never far away. No jimping on the handle, but still pretty comfortable to hold. So you do have, your finger is going to slide around a little bit on the back there for heavy use, but maybe it's not the style of knife that would be used for those kind of heavy tasks. barrel spacers at the back I mentioned, and then the titanium, which side is the best to look? Maybe from the back. Let's try that and grab the torch there. So the titanium frame, there are no attempts. See if I can, not getting much success in doing this, but oh gosh, what if we try it that way? Let's see if we can get, not really having much success in that. But what I'm trying to tell you, it's a little bit, because it's so black, I suppose, it's so dark in there, it's a little difficult to get some light on the subject. Maybe if I hold my hand there, we get a bit of reflection. So, after all of that, what I'm trying to say is there's no milling on that titanium frame, so no attempts to lighten it. And maybe that's because the titanium slabs, the titanium frame is quite thin already. So anyway, that's what I was trying to get at there. This lock as well has, and it's the same as the what was it, the Screech. The way that the lock is done here. So you've got a little bit of material that's removed on either side, on the lock side and on the show side, to allow you to get your finger in there to disengage that lock. So they don't have the material cut away over there. That tends to make the knife look a little more untidy, in my opinion. So I prefer this way of doing it, and it allows your finger to get in there to disengage with no problem, and it is a little bit rounded in there, so no sharp corners. If you're going to sit and fidget with this knife, it's not going to start eating your finger up. It does have the stainless steel insert on the lock, so you've got stainless steel, and you can see it, just a little color change over there. That's the stainless steel bit. So stainless steel on stainless steel lockup, so you're not going to get the lock stick thing happening there. And then if we get it at that angle, you'll see just showing through the extension of that stainless steel insert, and that's again your over travel stop. This knife as well is one of those that, and I'm seeing a lot of these now, where the stop pin or pin stop, I never really know which way around it is, maybe it's both, is actually mounted through the blade, so it moves along with the blade. So deep inside there you've got that channel, so as the blade is moving around that, and you might be able to just see it there, maybe a bit better on that side. Let's have a look. There's a little channel in there, and that pin travels around that channel, and when it gets to the back, when the lock kicks in, that's what creates your lock up. Those pins in the back of the channel and the lock up against the knife. So it's that style of doing things. Right, let's get that closed. I spoke about the pocket clip. So it is reversible pocket clip. There's little holes there, and you can see the little gap in the clip to get the torque screws out there. So it's dedicated torque screws for that skeletonized pocket clip. Very springy. You can see almost like a little ski ramp in the front there. So that's going to be very easy to get on and off clothing. And you can see that it is not countersunk. So there is a bit of space in there, but you can see that space narrows considerably at the top because the pocket clip is sitting on the surface of the knife, but the two little screws are countersunk. So it is deep carry. If you look how much of that knife is sticking beyond the pocket clip, so you'll see this little skeletonized pocket clip with the nicely drilled little holes in there. And then if you imagine you're still seeing the pocket clip, just that little piece of the tip or the back of the knife is going to be stick out. So basically what you're going to be seeing is the little lanyard hole sticking out the top of your pocket. So pretty discreet. Nice thin knife, slender, sleek design, and very stealthy, as I said before. So the finish on this knife is a stonewash, and if I angle it a little bit, you might see the stonewash there. The stonewash seems a little more stonewashed, if that makes sense, than the finish on the blade. Once again, Wee's edge, by the way, I didn't mention that. Wee's edge on their blades, as always, really kind of done to perfection. It is almost a mirror edge, but uniformly done, sharp out of the box. Very nice job, as we do. So I think I've pretty much gone through most of the things on the knife. Oh, what I did want to speak about is the action. So again, not the absolute last word in smoothness. And I'm saying again because the Screech that I reviewed recently was also a little bit like that, and not drop shuddy either. So you can see there, even with a bit of, you got to really give some coaxing to get that down. And in fact, while I'm there, let's have a look at the little detent. Yeah, so good detent there. Blade centering, I've mentioned I'll only talk about blade centering if it's off. So in terms of deployment, we've got it on that those ceramic ball bearings, but you've got the flipper tab at the back. So it does fly out, nice snick as it gets out. But you can also, using this big hole cut into the blade, you can, let's see if I can do this right, always tricky under the camera. But you can sometimes, if you concentrate, let's try this again. Let me give myself a little bit of room here. Oh, that's terrible. I'm going to try that again in a second. I will not give up. But you can deploy him with a thumb flick, and he's also very spidey flickable. So at least that worked for me. So we've got, so good fidget toy value, and let's see if I can do it. Oh, there we go. Success is mine. So I wasn't lying. So you can thumb flick him, and as I said, spidey flick the knife as well. That's actually the nicest way to deploy this knife. It is very easy to do that, and it does fly out. There is another option, another colorway on this knife. So we've got one that is also limited to 410 pieces, and that is in a stonewashed gray. So this is they call it stonewashed black. It's actually a very, very dark gray, I suppose, but the other one is a lighter stonewashed gray. I think I have now pretty much covered everything that I need to on the knife. Having a quick glance at my notes here. This knife, again, I say it in every video, but I really am grateful. This knife supplied to me by Blades and Triggers in South Africa for review and to have a look over for a few days and give my impressions of it. At Blades and Triggers, this knife sells for $6,920, and it goes without saying now, if you've seen any of my other videos, chat to the guys. They're very willing to come to the party on price, so that's kind of the starting price. They're going to probably frown when they hear this, but that is how they operate. Have a chat to them, and they'll make a plan for you. They want long-term customers. And then I've seen this on Blade HQ, if you're interested in the dollar price, for around about $200. So all that's left to do is a little bit of a size comparison on this guy, and I will use the usual knives again. Well, my usual knives, the Benchmade Mini Barrage, give you a sense of that. The Spyderco Manix 2, so these are knives that I think most people know pretty well. Manix 2, roughly the same length, but the Manix 2, wider in that dimension. And in terms of thickness, handle thickness, probably the same. The Fornix, a little bit of a longer blade. And the Manix 2, definitely a heavier knife. And then this knife that I called in a review recently a Benchmade Slim Midi, the sacrilege. So a Medford Slim Midi. There we go. I'll give you a sense of that. Again, roughly the same length, but the Fornix a much slimmer knife and much more stealthy. And there or thereabouts in terms of thickness. And then I brought another Medford along because it's also a little bit of a stealthy fellow, and that is the Infraction. So I've got the black Infraction, but you can see the similar sort of styling to the knife. Obviously, the fraction is in typical Medford fashion a little bit more chunky and utilitarian looking. But, they both got that whole stealthy kind of thing going. Medford looks a little bit more glossy there. It is a glossier finish, so it doesn't have a matte finish on it. But, I suppose similar-ish knives. If you're looking for a stealthy knife, both of these will appeal to you, I'm sure. The Medford considerably chunkier there by design. That's what makes a Medford a Medford. I know he's doing other knives now, but I still like the chunkier Medford knives. Anyway, let's get him out the way. I'm not here to discuss the Medford. And I think that pretty much covers everything there is to say about the knife. So, yeah, nicely made, as we knives always are, maybe I should say. We've just come to expect it, and it almost goes without saying now. But nice knife, nice in hand, and if you're after something, a little bit stealthy looking, certainly one to consider. Guys, that's pretty much it. Thanks once again. Really appreciate you joining me. And once again, I'm going to appeal to you to please subscribe and hit that bell icon. I'd really love you to pop in more often. And once again, other than that, you go well and God bless.